A developing story we've been following all day. Brittany Griner is now out of Russian custody and on her way home, following months in detention in Russia. In exchange, the U.S. released arms dealer Viktor Bout from Marion, Illinois Federal Prison. North Central College's Bill Muck joining us right now to talk more about her release. Thanks for joining us, Bill.
Always good to chat with you.
First of all, negotiations seem to have been stalled. Really surprising to get that early morning breaking news.
It's funny how these play out. I mean, these conversations have been going on for months, and this is sort of the nature of these conversations. They start and they slow down and then they speed up. And it sounds like a couple days ago they had basically come to terms on this, but you never know until the actual exchange occurs. I mean, this is why you have intermediaries. It's a really complicated process that takes months, and it's really, really difficult, especially when you're dealing with somebody like Russia, who the United States is actively confronting in Ukraine.
And of course, bittersweet because Paul Whelan wasn't a part of that deal. Biden and others saying it was not a choice of which American, the choice was one or none.
This is a really important thing to remember. Like, the United States obviously want as many of these individuals back as possible, but it probably simply wasn't something Russia was willing to do right now. Vladimir Putin has a history of taking individuals and holding them as political pawns, and Brittany Griner was absolutely number one in that line, right? Putin knew that holding her was going to be politically difficult for Biden and the United States, and so I'm guessing that Putin probably wants to continue to hold on to these high profile so that he can try to extract additional things in the future.
Yeah, the exchange took place in United Arab Emirates, and that, a lot of people are saying, is as a result of President Biden's negotiations with Arab Emirates earlier this year.
Yeah, so you try to find an actor that both sides trust. And that's really, really difficult because there's not a lot of trust between the United States and Russia right now. And so the United Arab Emirates stands out as one of those actors where the United States has had good relationships with, we've been able to make deals with, and Russia has as well. So they create this sort of space where you can have conversations and you can trust that the process will play out well, right? Because even once you've got the details done, even the exchange itself is a really, really complicated process. So that's why this takes so long to do.
Let's talk a little bit about how President Biden has been able to get other prisoners released earlier in the year. A lot of other presidents haven't been able to do that.
No, and I think if we look at, in terms of Biden's foreign policy, he has had a number of success stories in a row, right? You know, presidencies have their ups and downs, and you have domestic successes and international successes and failures. But more recently, you know, Biden has had a really good run, both in terms of, getting prisoners released, but also how he's handled the war in Ukraine, building the alliance with Europe. So, you know, in terms of his success, Biden has had a really strong foreign policy team. And I think we have to look at somebody like Antony Blinken as being really, really successful. He's not the big name of other secretaries of state, but behind the scenes, he's been very, very effective. And even countries that don't particularly like the United States have been able to work with the United States. And I think that's really important. Russia and the United States, we're at odds, but even though we're at odds, they were still able to work out this deal.
Why do you think this was the time to let Brittany Griner, as far as Russia is concerned, to let her go?
Well, I think we have to look at Viktor Bout to really understand that, right? And again, Viktor Bout
really wanted him.
Absolutely. He is a bad individual. I mean, he has the blood of tens of thousands of people on his hand in terms of exacerbating conflict all across Africa. Again, a bad guy. But I think if you look at Putin's domestic situation, he needed a win. And the elites in Russia like Viktor Bout and want him back. So I think, you know, if we're thinking about everything through the lens of domestic politics, I think Putin is also looking for a victory right now. He's had a rough couple months domestically. So it just happened to work out where it was in the interest of both parties to come to this agreement specifically on Viktor Bout.
Yeah, some believe the so-called merchant of death may get involved in the war in Ukraine.
It's hard to know, right? I mean, he is when he was captured by the United States, he was the DEA said he was one of the most dangerous men in the world. That's not the case anymore. But nevertheless, he has a history of causing trouble, and he has a history of very intense connections throughout Russia, especially in those upper circles. So I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, he is no longer the same threat as he was, 25 years ago.
All right, Professor Muck, thank you so much from North Central College. Be safe, be well.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.